Welcome back to another episode of Jacksonville Buzz's Buzzworthy Businesses. I'm Steve Strum. Sitting next to me is the opposite, but so fabulously well-dressed plaid, white plaid. I'm a dark plaid. I'm the dark side.
You're my negative.
I'm so sorry, but I'm so positive that you're here.
Thank you.
But you know what? We're not here to talk about you. We got Della Sellers.
Della Sellers.
What about that? What are we going to talk about?
Girls of Virtue.
Girls of Virtue. What is a girl of virtue?
Virtue is the word that I chose when I first launched my company and the values in which I would stand for as a business owner. And it is the epitome of what it just means to love other people before you love yourself and to honor goodness. And it was the thing that I wanted to teach the young women I worked with.
So how did you get involved with Girls of Virtue? Because you're a business owner. You work in the automotive industry, helping doing consulting for companies, cars, manufacturers, parts, etc., to have the most efficient business operation possible. How do you go from being the car guru consultant into a Girls of Virtue environment to help young ladies, you said 16 to 22?
14 to 24. 14
to 24, to get them through wherever they're going in life. Like good, bad, and indifferent, because that's a tough. I have a 20-year-old. She's going on 30. I get it. How did you get from the auto industry to here?
So there's three pieces to that answer. One is God had a plan way bigger than me.
Always does.
Yeah.
And that journey was going to give me the skills that I needed. That is the environment that as a young 18-year-old girl coming from just a lot of the instability that the world puts before us. It was an industry that welcomed me with no questions. And I didn't need anything other than my will to work hard. And they would teach and build. And it taught me money. It taught me credit. It taught me how to communicate. And it made me enough money that I had foundation that I had never had before. That is at the core of the calling and why I did Girls of Virtue, was how do I help young women growing up like me? And where it built from is I launched my first company. And when I launched my first company, that meant I got to tithe from gross. Gross meant no matter what I made my first year, 10% of that was going to go to helping, as the Lord told me, young women growing up like you. So I started a company. And I set up a 501c because that's what you're supposed to do. And there became Girls of Virtue.
So you said girls like you. You mean fabulously brunette in a hot coral dress? Like, what is a girl like you? So what are the people, these young ladies, 14 to 24, that you help? Like, what are the things that a Girl of Virtue does from a help perspective? And it's not just you. You have communities that help you. But, like, what is that Girl of Virtue? Like, why is somebody going to go, you know what, you got to call her?
So it's a community of women loving on women. It is each and every one of us, whether we are 30 or 40 or 60, there's something about the women we are today that we wish to God somebody bothered to tell us in our 20s. And that's what we're going to do. I want to meet every young woman in our city, and I want to know what's on your heart. What has one of us walked through that you're struggling with? Because there's one of us that has. And what wisdom and love can I share with you that makes this journey just a little bit less brutal? And then if you've got that and you want to love and share on the next generation, then come help us love on the next generation.
And I think everyone, especially in that age bracket, is dealing with something. With something.
And
how do you reach these young girls? Through the school system or through a specific location? How does it work on a practical level?
So many times I feel like the Lord just drops them in my lap. I'll go for a run really early in the morning and hear the whisper, that's a kid. And there'll be a kid sleeping on some stairs, and I'll stop and help them, which has happened. Or we do go to a high school outreach. So at this point, we've grown to 4 schools. We go in and teach workshops every week. We had previously opened a space downtown. That was very much so beginning to work. We call them empowerment centers. And due to some unforeseen things about a lease, we had closed it temporarily, but now to realize that the thing that it was missing was being close to the schools, because a lot of the kids couldn't get downtown. So rather than reopening one centralized location, we're now going to build a three-phase program of putting 12 empowerment centers throughout the city.
Wow.
To streamline the process for the kids, creating spaces that we can use one system, one platform, and connect them with local partners. I don't need to do curriculum. There's somebody in the city that's doing the work. I need to connect the kid to the resource.
And, one of the things is we kind of like take this away, a lot of the folks that are probably watching this, you're like, okay, 4 target schools, you focus on some at-risk ladies that is fair. But you said off the set a little bit as we were kind of prepping for the show that people that deal with things, whether it's anxiety, depression, COVID kids. I've got, 4 teenagers myself between 16 and 22. And I've got a lovely young lady who's, 20 going on 30. I get it. It just because they're on one side of the track or other does not mean that they're not dealing with it. Because somebody in a rich neighborhood could have had a sexual assault. Somebody in a middle-class neighborhood could be living with grandma. Like, so talk to a little bit about like the demographic that you serve. So we got the at-risk school, we got the 4 there, but those aren't all the people you serve. And the people watching this may know somebody in their family or in their family unit that would be like, you know what? It doesn't just have to be those people. So talk us to a little bit about that.
That's actually one of the things I try to fight the most. I'm not going after an at-risk kid. All kids are at risk. First off, sin does not discriminate. Doesn't care where you come from. And the other thing about it is we try to marginalize that. We try to say that one's different than the other. It's not. Everybody, no matter where we are in life, wishes there was things we knew when we were younger. There's situations we wish we could have dealt with. Grief is one of the ones I think about the most. It doesn't matter where you come from. It's going to get you at some point. Even in business, like good professionals that have always had money, you're going to grieve the loss of whatever you did.
Yep. Or the hard times.
Yeah. And we don't do it well. So that's what I want to pour into. So my kids that are coming from good homes and maybe only have a few things on the list that they feel like are struggles, come volunteer with me. Come walk alongside me, because I'm going to pour into you and your kid just the same. But I want to use their skills. What if they haven't gone through that. Let them come help the kid that is. And the kid that's got some grit, the kid that's never dealt with anything, they probably need to hang out with the kid that's had to dig through some grit to get through something, because they might need to learn some. Let's just be honest.
Get your nails dirty.
Yeah. So all my girls, typically when you get into the early 20s, yes, you're going to come walk with me and I'm going to pour into you, but I expect you to be loving on the next generation. So it don't mean you just come in and it's equal. My 22, 23, 24-year-olds, they teach at my high schools. They help with our social media. And we'll put them to work. And that's even my women over 25. Come be a volunteer. You can come take the credit class. Just know I expect you to watch the kid.
Well, I guess as we're taking this one out, you have a daughter who is actually in the process of this taping of joining the military.
Yeah, she's
U.S. Army.
Taking her test tomorrow.
Amen.
The recruiter is at our house right now.
And my 20-year-old, she's actually following me into the business. And first thought on that one was like, you sure about that? But no, in all sincerity, she solves problems that I didn't know I had. But anyway, as people who have ladies in our life, one of the things that I hear when you have your passion there is that it's not just like, hey, let's patch them up and get them on their way. You're giving them a pathway, because those young men and women, but the women that you serve in that demographic, those young women become the workforce population that's going to be caring for us as we enter retirement. Yeah. But you're giving them, and I know that, a lot of times that self-image of worth independently minus relationship status is something that, in the unfair expectations that the socials put out there are things that put people in there's an unwinnable scenario.
So let me ask you guys a question. Imagine the world if over the next 20 years we pour into 4 things for our kids: spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. Teach them their identity and self-worth. Teach them how to manage their heads well. Anger, grief, boundaries, communication, conflict, those kind of things. Health and nutrition as a whole. How to eat healthy. How to manage our systems well. And how do you manage your home? Money, credit, insurance. Imagine the world and the leaders that we have and making sure that they know God. You put those virtues and values together, and then you educate, you empower and equip them. Imagine what 40 years from now looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it changes everything.
Definitely starts a dynamic shift. Well, you know, I really do appreciate you coming. And, you know,
Thanks for having me.
You know, if anybody couldn't tell in this episode, you might be a little passionate. Just a smidge. Hey, I'm not judging. And, you know, you're okay. But, you know, what a cool episode, right? You know, coming from a couple of dads that know this from a different lens, right?
Okay.
And, you know, it's really cool that you're doing that to not just give back for, you know, a certain demographic of people, but all these ladies that you can help become, you know, fully well-rounded people, workforce population of the next generation, and all the wonderful things. And so grateful for you to join us today. But you're great. He's okay. It's these guys here. Guys, I'd be willing to bet that you're watching this episode right now, and you probably have a name of a person that could be talking to Della. So if you like this episode, share that episode, and remember to always live with gratitude.
Our mission at Generation Media is to build positive word of mouth for our clients and the audiences that we serve. We hyper-target the most affluent audiences and focus our clients' marketing dollars right where they need to be with little to no waste. I'm David Permenter, founder and president of Generation Media, and we would love to have a short discovery call with you by phone or Zoom to see if we can help you reach your ideal clients.